Hello people of YouTube, this is a video, I'm Scorpel, and welcome to something a little bit different. Um, if you're watching this, you've probably heard of this game. I say that could be false, but this is an indie game that made a splash in the community a few months ago called Project Zomboid. I think it's really fantastic, has a lot of potential. It's a sort of a zombie survival RPG. Now, I say zombie survival, that means it's not about killing zombies. It's about hunkering down and finding weapons and stashing food and living for as long as possible. And the whole idea of this game is that you will die, eventually. And it's just inevitable. But you're supposed to try and survive for as long as possible, and that's exactly what I intend to do. As you can see, I'm just sort of going around collecting as much stuff as I can, because I already have a sort of safe house in mind, and it's nowhere near here, but I want to collect stuff and try not to get eaten on the way there by all those zombies that have already sort of taken notice of me. Shouldn't be too big of a problem just yet. It's only a couple of them. I can probably outrun them without too many difficulties. But yeah, I'm going to die eventually. I won't lie to you. And there's a lot of different ways that can happen, whether you starve to death or die of thirst or the zombies get you. The idea is there's gonna be, well, the way they put it is, whether it's a large mistake or a small one, there will eventually be some foul-up that will cause you to die. And, well, try as I will, I imagine that's gonna happen. And you will see it when it does. Because there's no way to save in this game. So, it's not gonna be much I can do. One thing that I'm gonna try and do right here is a feature very new to this game, which is teaming up with NPCs. And I'm gonna try and get a little posse going. Maybe then we'll survive longer. That guy's spazzing out a little bit, and I don't know exactly what that is, but oh well. Alright. So, I don't know if that guy's gonna join me or not, necessarily, but I think he is. And so now we have two people. We have Paul, and oh, no, that guy's running off. But we have Paul, okay. And Paul is gonna help us to fight these zombies. That's quite good. So anyway, I'm just gonna keep sort of talking about the game on the way to my ideal safe house, and go from there. So, as I was saying, this game is an indie game developed by a little group called the Indie Stone. It's had a short but pretty interesting little history. It came under fire a while ago because the developers were burglarized. Their laptops were stolen, and they happened not to have recent backups of the game, which set an update that was already taking far longer than it was supposed to back like another month and a half. And so a lot of people got really ticked about that. But you know, they had quite a bit of support too. A lot of people stuck by them, and I was one of them. I didn't really have much I could do to help them additionally, but I had already paid for the game, and I was... they offered anyone who wanted one. They said that if you were fed up with waiting, they would absolutely give out refunds, and I decided I was gonna stick it out, and I'm glad I did, because the game got quite a bit more interesting with the new update finally out. So, I keep talking about updates. This game, as far as updates go, is gonna work a little bit like Minecraft. It's not a full game yet. It is still very much in development. It is currently in, I believe, what is considered to be the alpha stage. And the way they're doing it is every so often they're gonna release a new version with, some changes and new features. And I can't remember which version this is. It's something like 1.5 F or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I currently have the most recent version as of today. Oh, and so that's quite good. This is gonna be my safe house, this sort of restaurant slash bar area. I like it because it's pretty big and has a lot of storage containers. And I've found that in this game, inventory management is quite an undertaking. As you can see by the emote in the corner, I'm carrying quite a heavy load. I have 142 pounds on me out of 242 max. So it'd be wise of me to start putting away some of this stuff, particularly stuff that needs to be refrigerated. Because, as you can imagine, refrigerated stuff will go bad if you don't keep it in the fridge. Which is another thing that this game has implemented to make the game, or to make the idea of a zombie survival game somewhat more realistic. Basically, well, one of the plans for the game is that after a few months the power goes out and the ovens and the fridges and stuff stop working, and so that spoilable food starts to go bad. And it's a really sort of intuitive game in that respect, that they're trying to do everything they can to make it a realistic concept. You have to keep yourself fed, you have to keep yourself sort of entertained by reading magazines and stuff, otherwise you'll get bored, and, well, who knows what'll happen if you get too bored. But they want to implement as much realism as possible, and I really appreciate that, because it seems to me a lot of modern zombie games just aren't very realistic, and I don't know, it disappoints me. I mean, Left 4 Dead and stuff like that, I mean, sure, it can be fun sometimes, I guess. I've never played it, but I'm using that as a for instance. But it's not realistic. I mean, I'm saying I mean a lot, and I don't... I'm trying not to do that, but it's just... I kind of want something more realistic that makes... Oh, it's my... it's my buddies. They came back. And they took some of my food, which is alright. That's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, as I was saying, they're trying to make it really realistic. The zombies aren't super smart. They can't pathfind that well, but they will hear you. They will follow you around. They'll travel in enormous hordes, which are terrifying. I say they can hear you, like, for instance, if you're walking around, if you're, like, running, you'll make more noise. It's more likely that they'll hear you, even if you're indoors. So you have to be careful using a shotgun. Sure, a shotgun sounds like a great weapon against zombies in theory, but it makes a lot of noise and could very well attract an entire horde. And that wouldn't be too terribly good. Getting pretty tired. That's another simple realism thing. You have to sleep. doors down there spazzed out a little bit, so I think someone is in my house. And that's fine, I'm not too worried about that. Nails. Another thing to mention, there is some crafting in this game that hopefully I'll survive long enough to get into. You can make barricades and sort of put up makeshift walls and stuff, which essentially what it means to me is you don't necessarily have to go with any house that's already in the game. You can build your own from scratch, and that to me is a really cool little feature. Maybe a little bit less realistic, but I don't know, I don't think it's out of reach to sort of set up your own safe house. Maybe like out in the woods or something. Almost done storing all this garbage. I say garbage if, well, hopefully I'll be able to make use of a lot of this stuff eventually. Well, except antidepressants, because they currently don't have a use. And butter knives, because they're useful for nothing other than really bad weapons. So yeah, this game still has a lot to do. It's not really anywhere near close done yet, and that's not a knock on the game. I really only mean that the sky's the limit right now. There's so much potential here, in my opinion. I'm kind of thirsty. Gotta fill up my water bottle. That's better. Double check that container. You guys following me, I want to have you guard this back door. That sound good? Sound good? That's really good. Eventually, I want to sort of wall off this entire lower room. I don't want any zombies to be coming in through there. But I definitely intend to use this back door plenty in the future. Kinda hungry, just had that lollipop. That didn't help any, but awfully tired, so I'm gonna go ahead and have a snooze, and then tomorrow, in the game that is, I'm gonna go ahead and hit a warehouse close by this place, see if I can't find some better weapons, maybe an axe, so I can start collecting wood, maybe a saw, so I can turn that wood into planks and make it more useful. In the meantime, I'm just gonna wait because, well, the game's not perfectly optimized yet, so sleeping takes a little while. But not too long, here we go. Excuse me. So, not sure where those guys went, probably off to get a snack, and that's something I should probably go ahead and do as well. Because when you're hungry, you can't lift as much, and I intend to do an awful lot of lifting. So, gonna aim for the perishables first, because I don't want them to go to waste. Why do I still have cigarettes here? Let's go ahead and put those away. Now, I know smoking's bad and all that, but they can be pretty useful, you know? In the game, that is, because stress is another factor. If you get really stressed out for whatever reason, I'm still not entirely sure what causes stress, but it'll make attacks and such a lot less accurate. And yes, I see the zombie down here. I'm gonna take care of him. No problem, no problem. He dropped? No, he didn't drop anything. It's kind of strange. One of the little things one of the things in the game they have with the survivors, which are fairly new in and of themselves. If they get attacked by zombies, they can turn into zombies, and you can sort of tell which zombies were survivors to begin with because they'll have some stuff on them, like a weapon and a water bottle. And so that becomes a little bit morbid, I guess you could say, because if a zombie drops stuff,